Hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you are tuning in to Elevate and Innovate with Bree and Filsun. I am first humbled and grateful that you've taken the time to listen to us share our stories, invite you in to a journey that we delve into conversations of inspiration, inclusion, and innovation. I am immensely grateful that I get to share the stories that Brie and I have together. And what better day to start this invitation into our world than International Women's Day? So, the purpose of this conversation and the conversations we will continue to have is how do we share our experiences, our struggles, our inspirations, our friendship, our laughter, that whole journey around expansion, innovation, impact. And we hope to have you walk away from this conversation with successful strategies to be an advocate for yourself and those around you. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I will hand it over to Bree to share a little bit about who she is. We're not going to tell you everything, you know. In one conversation, you don't learn about everything about someone. So I'm Filsun. I'm a leader in the med tech industry. I am a people leader, but first and foremost, I'm, a daughter, a mother, a sister, a friend. I'm a whole person, and I've been told that when people meet me, they feel my warmth and my comfort. And I hope this is coming across in the screen. And I can list all my little accolades and all the different things that I've done, but I hope that what you hear in this conversation is who I am as a person, and you can feel it as if I'm in the room talking to you. And those credentials and those things that you can look up on LinkedIn, you will come across in the conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Bree Jacobs to tell us about who she is and set us up for a great conversation.
Okay, thank you, Filsun. I'm just going to start with a second of, hey, look, girl, we made it. We declared years ago when we became friends that we were going to do something different for us and for any woman that we can connect to, for any audience that we connect to. And today is that day. Very auspicious that it's International Women's Day, because perhaps you and I are unlikely friends, given some of our religious backgrounds and some of the beliefs that we carry. It may not be the two people that the world sees coming together to create what we're creating, but here we are today, and it's just a beautiful moment. So I'm grateful. I'm Bree Jacobs. I'm going to identify myself first as a scientist, as a lover of knowledge, for that knowledge to come in and flow back out to you. So I hope that's what you capture today. I am a mother. I've raised a family, older children, one still in high school. So I'm on a different path, or I'm further down a path than Filsun is, and that still connects us to talk about how we lead our families, not how we're just moms and wives, but we're leaders in our families. I hope you will walk away after some of these conversations as strong, fierce warriors for your family, knowing not to give away everything. Drink from your saucer, not from your teacup. I'll explain that later. Not only am I a scientist, a lover of knowledge, a mother, I've been in the med tech industry for 10 years, leading and moving into those various roles that give me such a wide view of what it is to put health first, not health care, because that's the business, but health, because that's the people. Before that, I was a leader in the pharmaceutical industry. So I've seen what it is to medicate, to put Band-Aids, to fill a gap, and I've seen what it is to make radical difference in a person's body through those jobs that I've been fortunate to have. So now, that's a little bit about me. I'm sure I'll tell more, and I will try not to overshare along this journey. But we wanted to do this talk today because as a collective, we're on shaky ground. Women are still asked to carry such a weight, and we do it so well, but not always. We look like we do it so well. But there are times when you just don't. You just don't. From managing your family to leading in the boardroom, women continue to walk a tightrope of being our authentic selves, seeking that inclusion. That's what we're about here today. And then realizing an elevation that we want. We have goals. A lot of us dream so big, and we put a lot of things before we place ourselves first. So in this series, you won't hear us complaining or blaming or minimizing any space and experience that you've had before, because every experience that you have from today and from your past gets you to where you are. It builds your story, and we want to help you understand how to take all those experiences and share your story. We'll give you key insights from our lessons learned, some of our mistakes and experiences, our unique friendship. I talk to Filsun every day, so it's been an amazing change in my life to have a friend like that. And of course, we're going to talk about professional development and personal development. And we hope that you walk away from these talks feeling energized, ready to stand firm on those goals, run your family like a boss, and in every space that you're in, own it, period. Don't just show up. But I'll remind us that it's all a journey, and there are days where I log off of 8 hours of Zoom and just fall out in tears because it's difficult from time to time, and we're here to support you. And we thank you if you're listening to us, and we thank you for staying to the end, because in that way you're supporting Filsun and I to continue doing what we're doing. So with that introduction, Filsun, I have the first question for you. And I would really want to hear from you about an example of when someone else practiced inclusion and you were significantly elevated by that experience.
I've been very fortunate to have several instances where I felt seen and included and thought of. So when you first asked that question, I thought of an experience that I had with you. And that is like the experience that I go through a lot when I think about what it's like to feel seen. And then I also want to give an example. You know, the relationship that we have, Bree, is quite unique. I think it's something that not everyone is blessed with, but once you have it, you hold on to it very dear. So I'll save that experience, that the first one that comes to mind, to kind of end the answer to this question. But the other experience that I think of when you say, what does it feel like to feel included? And I really believe inclusion is not, hey, come here to the table. I believe inclusion is you feel like you're wanted to be there. You feel like you're seen. Your value that you bring, who you are as a person, is present, right? So and inclusion is very important to me, because I've said many a times as I'm being introduced that, you know, I'm an American nomad. I was forever the new kid. I moved every 2 years. I've always had to get a sense in the room of what was okay to ensure that those around me were comfortable with my presence. And I chose to wear a scarf very young. So I instantly became that. Who's that? What's that? I've never seen someone who looks like that. At a very young age, in like elementary school. So with all that in play, in a corporate setting, there are not that many people who are visibly practicing Islam, right? Wearing a scarf, you've just put the big old label that, hey, I believe in God, I believe in a faith, and I'm practicing it. And I have kind of put myself in that other category, like question mark, where's she from? And I remember going to one of my first like corporate dinner events with our VP leadership team. So it was a little bit different. I report directly to my VP. And, I have my nerves because I've always been in this setting. And I remember we're going to sit at the table, we're about to order some food. And one of the senior directors in the organization says, hey, Filsun, hey, look here at the menu. This is for us. We're going to have some mocktails. And I know that this person chooses to drink. She drinks. But she made a point to say it's us together. And she made that intentionality of saying, she didn't ask me in front of everyone, hey, do you drink? She knew me enough, she knew enough about my practice to just make it something collective so I don't feel like I'm alone. I felt like I knew what I could order. And it felt so good. And I'll be honest, that is the person when I go to other places, before I go, I'll like, hey, what do you do this? Or what, those are the small things that you don't think is, just ordering off a menu is not that big of a deal. But when you're not from you don't have certain dietary restrictions or faith-based restrictions, or if you don't really want to make a big to-do about something, that really meant something to me. And not to be too long-winded, the other time that I felt included was when I went to my first surgeon engagement event with Bree Jacobs. And she had planned kind of the dinners with engaging our surgeons. And we go to this, it's a place full of music and just beautiful vibe and culture, and there's something for everyone. And I open up the menu and I see there are halal options at this place that I never thought there would be halal options. Great. Did you see that they have halal options on this menu? And she goes, of course they do. That's why I picked it. And that is like icing on the cake of inclusion. That you're planning an event, and as you're planning the event, you think about the unique needs of those that are coming alongside you. And that, to me, that's like 110% inclusion. That's being intentional in the forefront. So now, not everybody needs that menu experience or that dinner experience, but what is it when you're thinking about being inclusive and you're organizing something? That's what I would love for you listening in to think, how can I be a little bit more inclusive? How can I be a little bit more curious what, this person who might look exactly like you, but might have a food allergy, that might have, some needs. How do you gather some information? How do you dispel some assumptions, even from those who look exactly like you? So I would challenge you, as you're listening to this, to think about how you can be more inclusive for those around you. And Bree, I want to turn this over to you because I want to hear from your perspective when you felt included and how it made you feel.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's the small, subtle details that can make someone feel wildly included in a situation. Those things I did weren't necessarily that special, but they were so special to you. I think that's what inclusion is about, right? Where the small things that are within your control, you execute on those to make somebody else feel very warm and welcome at the table they're sitting at. I will give very briefly an example. A few years back in my career, I was working as a product development program manager. And I was invited to one of my first advisory boards with our physicians. And so where we work, it is about our customers and our patients. So if you hear stories like that from us, that's our connection to the world. That is the why of what we do. It's the mission we live by, is for our customers and patients. So you'll hear some of this along our talks as we continue on. But one of the first ones was very technical. And as a scientist, which I've been a scientist all my life, that's another story, literally all my life, there's a moment of pride of, oh my gosh, I made it into this room. But then my most senior leader said, oh, just go and don't say anything. Just watch, just don't say anything. And that cloud hung over me all the way through the planning, booking my trip, connecting with the meeting planners, getting into the room. I just had a huge, I'll use the term that we've been hearing, imposter syndrome, but it was deeper than that. I felt like my credentials weren't good enough. I don't have a PhD. I don't have an MD. I felt like my skin wasn't good enough. I was the only Black person in the room. I felt like my tenure wasn't good enough. You know, I'm 5 years or so into medical devices. Even though I've worked a lot longer, that experience doesn't carry right behind me. Nobody sees that. So for a lot of reasons, I just felt wrong in that room. And I sat there, small, quiet, in my head, for the majority of this very technical meeting where the others at the table had these connections and they had this ownership. And an ally who I just met getting off the plane, who also worked for Medtronic, introduced me to the top voice in the room and said, have you met Bree? Well, we had a conversation first and I told him my background and why I was there. And he was so impressed. And then he introduced me to the top voice in the room, the one that we as a company were really there to engage with. And he introduced me as, this is Bree. She's a science superstar. She has done so much. You really need to know her. That's what he said to another white female. So when you go to my LinkedIn page, I say I'm a science superstar, not because I'm bragging that I am, it's because somebody saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. And in the space that it happened, made such a huge difference. So when you hear those little nuggets, don't dismiss them. Don't tell yourself that you're not, because he saw it. And in the space I was in, I could have really been like, no, that's not me, and humbled. Oh no, I took that one on. I carry that, and it was a reminder that I am so much more sometimes than I can see in myself. So that's the time. And I'll tell you, it changed the way I walked in a room. It changed how I looked at myself. One statement can do that for another person. So caution with your words. When you place them and where you place them really matters. But Filsun, you were starting to talk about, some of what guides you, how you feel included. And I want to ask you, what is that unshakable truth, that thing that you know, no matter what the situation is, about yourself? You maybe don't always tell people that unshakable truth, but they always benefit from it. What would that one thing be?
That is a very deeply reflective type of question. And it really touches on why we wanted to start this conversation. And for me, I've always been fascinated with why people do things, why people choose to be moral, why people choose to be kind? Why do people choose to be inviting? Because we all have a choice, right? And, you know, I was born Muslim, I grew up Muslim, faith was really important to me, but it wasn't something like an indoctrination. It wasn't something like I didn't think about, I didn't reflect about. But I firmly believe that I've been placed on this earth to be a light, a kindness, a partner to whoever I come across. And so when I am taking on something, when I'm waking up in the morning, when I'm offering a support, or when I'm taking on a challenge, I firmly believe that I was meant to do it and do it with, we say this word, ihsan, with excellence, with the intention of doing the best that you can with what you have and being immensely grateful for the opportunity to impact someone. So when I meet people, I'm not going to tell them this deep-seated, rooted belief that I'm meant to be on this earth to honor all of God's creation. Like I'm not going to say that. That kind of sounds a little strange, but that's the essence of why I'm here. And you see someone, you're like, oh, I help that. I can't stand the YouTube videos where they help that homeless person and they videotape them. It drives me insane. Or like, I feel like it's not that it's not bad. I feel like it encourages people to do well, but it's not that I don't see that a needy person or a person who has come across me that I've helped them with career advice. I don't see that as me doing something for them. I see it as me taking an opportunity to give a gift that I was given. And it's actually, I am the one who's been gifted by being in that person's presence to be able to be impactful. So you'll see like someone say, oh, I mentored that person. Oh, that's me. No, I never believe that that's me. I believe that I'm so grateful I was being able to be impactful. So that's kind of my, you don't know that's going on in the background, so you get a little iron behind the curtain. And I've done a lot of internal work, like we have a tradition of purification of the heart, purification of the soul. Other different traditions have this, where it's always thinking about internally, how can my internal personality, my internal thoughts reflect my external, right? So it's more of, versus putting on that mask and putting on that, can my kindness match to myself internally as well as external? So that's a long way of sharing a little piece of me. But I'm curious for you, what is, turn that question back to you, what is it that people don't, that you're embodying, that you're doing, that is essentially the essence of Breathe, that most people don't know that you're doing?
I actually wasn't not prepared to answer that question. I was just going to let that be for you because I said I wasn't going to overshare here. But first, let's just take a moment. Filsun, you didn't say this, but the benefit is you are a phenomenal people leader. And that's the title from a job. So let me find another way to say that. You are a phenomenal connector of people. And you mentioned being a nomad and moving and knowing what it's like to have your deepest experience is on the outside because you choose to wear hijab. And so I think that, plus what you were explaining about understanding your purpose, that's what people are feeling from you, experiencing why your team is phenomenal and leaders in their own right. And it's not just your team, your family, and everybody else that you work with. So that benefit comes across, that you may never share those stories or tell them, but there always benefit from that. Now for me, My unshakable truth. I have been on a crazy journey. I probably could have used 5 other words, but for the sake of time, that one's front of mind. I experienced just excruciating pain for a lot of my life, physical, um, for a lot of years, a lot of pain that would throughout my body that a NFL football player would be carried out on a stretcher if that pain hit him on the field. Period. And I did that through high school. Long nights. I did that through college. Isolating moments because you don't want to tell people. Done that early part of my career. Done that in raising children and childbirth. A lot of my life has been a lot of physical pain. I've also experienced emotional, just, oh my gosh, really? On top of that, you got to deal with that? Yeah, did. And I'm okay. I'm actually okay. And it's given me an understanding that today is today and tomorrow is not promised. So I'm emotional, I'm sensitive, and I'm sensing. And that gives me a passion. But because I turned to science and analytical thinking to help understand my situation, I have this balance. I lead with passion, and then I rationalize with the analytical path forward. And that's my unshakable truth. I'm going to come with you because I feel it first. If I'm talking about it and I'm staying in it, I feel it. And then I'm going to go away and use, research and science and analytical skills to go after that thing that's important to me. So what people get from that, how they benefit is, I'm not going to be the one to say, no, we can't. I'm going to be the one to say, there's a way, figure it out. Because in the culmination of the story up to this point, people would have said, no, you can't. And I was told, no, you can't. No, you can't do that activity. No, you can't have kids. No, you can't. So I don't want to be that one. So I'm going to lead with passion, bring a little bit of analytical skills to it, and that's my unshakable truth. That's what you'll see every time. So I think we're coming close to time, Filsun. We didn't want to drag too long, but we wanted to give you a few insights from our experiences. And we named this talk Elevate and Innovate because we have, and we appreciate that others are wanting to find ways to achieve the goals that you set, big or small. And we think that takes an elevation of mindset, and in multiple ways. The chance to get there is increased when you innovate for yourself. And that could be how you are leading your family and what guidelines and boundaries you have, or it could be in your job and the story you're telling yourself, the skills you're learning. So first I want to ask, and briefly, how are you innovating yourself right now so that you see an elevation to your next major goal or milestone?
So I feel like I'm innovating in multiple streams, but for the sake of time, I'll focus on kind of the latest things that I've been so excited about. And Bree is the person who said, come on, Filsun, you're technical. So my undergrad's in biology. I was pre-med. I'm on the path to medical school before I landed at Medtronic in regulatory affairs, which I didn't know what it was. But I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to grow. But in the early part of when I was in that what made me not want to go to medical school. The whole purpose of me going to medical school is I'm the daughter of refugees. My parents talked about back home. We're East African, Somali. And I used to say since I was 5 years old, I'm going to be a doctor to help my people back home. So that was kind of the mission since I was 5. And that mission shifted as I was preparing to take my second NCAT, and I got an internship at Medtronic, and I got an internship in international regulatory, and I realized that you could help get good products globally through understanding rules and regulations. And I discovered my superpower I acknowledged my superpower of hearing different people from different backgrounds to solve the problem. Like I could hear people talking and misfiring, and I was able to reframe it and have them connect. Like I'm telling you, like a couple of months into this role, and I'm an intern. And I said, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And I had a data mindset. I did metrics. I loved it. I taught myself how to create forms and do some coding. This is like early on, but I never thought of myself as technical. I never thought of myself as someone who could be a computer scientist or this. I just thought, well, I don't have all those credentials. I just have a biology degree, as if that's nothing, right? So in the last couple of years, I've made the decision I wanted to be in data analytics and data science. And with the expansion of generative AI, I have, gotten different certifications. I've positioned myself to be an expert in this space because I firmly believe that you need someone who understands data, how data is managed, and someone who can tell a story. And I am that person. I can do both. And data is immensely personal to me because I use data to manage being a caregiver to my daughter with type 1 diabetes. So I feel like my unique connection and my why of serving, compiled with my natural curiosity and ability to learn, I've been able to position by, contributing to a blog post around regulatory affairs and automation, by taking certifications, and, being the person who's going to help, take our talent and our function and uplift them into learning the new age of generative AI. And all of this just happened in the last couple of months. Like it's all come together. It's been going on for years. But knowing that these skills that I've accumulated, I'm able to elevate myself. I'm able to innovate myself. I'm able to reposition the skills that I've already had and see it at a different light. And I believe, in these conversations, that we're going to be able to help those of you who are listening. How can you reframe for yourself? How can you reimagine and refocus what you've experienced and position it into the wave of tomorrow? Because things are always changing. And how do you walk alongside that change versus fight against it? Or, oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I don't have a PhD in data science. I'm a data scientist whether I have the PhD or not, because I've decided this is what I'm going to learn. And this is a language. And then how do I position myself? I see it for myself. And we have to be frank here. I am a Black Muslim woman. And I might not be the first person you think of as technical. I might not be the first person you think of capable of this. I don't have a computer science background. But what I will do is make sure I use the right language, I learn the right skills, and I go for it. I take on to that. And that's what I hope, that you come to these conversations with us and we can share with you how we're, each of us, and I know Bree's innovating herself in many different ways, but how are you going to innovate yourself? Like, that's what we want. We want that while you're listening to us, it's not for us to say, oh, wow, Bree, you're so great. Oh, wow, Filsun, you're so great. No, the point is that you're listening to us and you can be inspired by these stories. Figure out how you're going to elevate yourself, how you're going to innovate, how you're going to pivot, and how you can help the person who's next to you walk alongside you as well.
Mm-hmm.
What would you add, please?
Well, first of all, she said it's not for the audience to clap for us, but I'm gonna clap for you because you went from a mindset of lack and can't to saying I am, I will, and I watched that progression and transition. And so kudos to you for innovating yourself in a space that makes you light up when you talk about it. Um, Hopefully that the audience, takes away what that experience is, and we can share more about how you innovated yourself to where you are now and how you're taking that to another level going forward. So for me, and Filson, I was looking away a little bit because I was trying to get some screenshots because I was trying to catch your face in that moment of explaining. So, but I couldn't do it. I don't know what's going on with my computer today, so I didn't get any screenshots. But we should document this wonderful day we're having, this conversation we're having. I've been continuously setting goals beyond the reach of what some others have said should be for me. And that's why this title is here. This innovation, I maybe wouldn't have called it that word as I was on this journey, but that's exactly what it is. So I just recently earned my MBA. That was a major decision point, a lot of commitment. So I was getting my master's degree while my son was in undergrad. That just gives you an insight to how you never stop. And I said I was a lover of learning. It continues on. Why did I get my MBA with my undergrad in biological sciences? Because I wanted to understand something so that I can influence something. I wanted to understand if we as engineers and scientists can make anything, why can't we help everyone? Why didn't my mother have devices or options that would have changed her experience as she was in her last months of life? What can I do about that? I'm not a doctor. Thought about it like Filsun. Did not have the study skills for it, but that's okay. So for me, innovating myself or re-innovating myself is about expanding my impact for the purpose that I'm here. I have both of my kids are leaving the house in 6 months. That's a milestone. So who am I? Who am I if I'll always be a mother, but if I'm not mothering them every day here? Who am I if I don't have the label of wife? Who am I beyond the labels that the world gives me? That's a hard one to answer because if those titles go away, what's at the core? And so I innovate, re-innovate, because I want to be able to express who I am at the core. So what's my next innovation? It's about the people that I'm able to reach. So I don't believe that any of the abundance and opportunities that I receive are just for me to hold on to like a sponge. So this is step one of me finding out or me experiencing a chance to connect with you, other people that are listening, share things that are maybe a little bit vulnerable so that you're better, so that a wider audience knows they're not alone. So I would say that's probably where I'm innovating. I'm changing a story and a narrative of what I haven't had. The mother relationship, the father relationship, the family relationship. there's a saying of there's an advice that's given by an author and motivational speaker or transformational speaker named Lisa Nichols. And maybe she didn't make this up, but it resonated to me when she said it. You have to be the mother, father, brother, sister that you never had. And as Filsun and I were preparing, I said, I'm tired of being the whatever I never had to myself. That's good advice, but it's exhausting. But if I reframe and innovate that thought, I can be that to you, to others who don't have it now. So it's not about me. I can't do it all, and I can't do it wrong. I can just show up for others. And I want to do more of that going forward with the skills that I have. And so I think as we start to conclude and wrap things up, I hope that you have enjoyed the time that you spent with us. I hope that you see how dynamic and wonderful our relationship is, and that you'll join us again and we can give you more insights, and that you have been elevated even a little bit by the conversations that we're having. And Filsun, do you want to just give them a little more summary of what they can expect in future conversations?
Yeah. So today we kind of kicked off with International Women's Day around that theme. When we looked at the theme, that's what we talk about every day. So what we'll continue to do in these conversations is share little bits and pieces of our experiences, our thoughts, how we pivot, some of the career advice I give or coaching. I'm a career coach, as well as how we've navigated the various pivots in our careers and our personal lives. So that's kind of what you have to look forward to. And it would be remiss to not acknowledge that we're coming from a place of privilege, that we've been able to see the moments that we need to capture to get to where we need to be. I am able to do what I do by the privilege of where I was born, when I was born. My parents were refugees. I could have been born in a refugee camp and had my children in a refugee camp. I could be a woman in Sudan. I'm East African. I'm Somali, but I could be a woman in Sudan. I could be a woman. I could have been a woman born in Gaza. I could have been a woman born in any of these places that where their elevation and their innovation is the basic needs, right? And I just want to remind ourselves that we're here to talk about our reality, but also remember where you're coming from and where others are coming from. So the intent of these conversations is to have real, honest conversation in a place of safety, but also in a place of understanding that wherever you're coming from, you can reframe to capture where you want to go next. And I've seen, there's a Somali saying that says, even, I can't even say it in English, but it's like this: no matter what your status is, you can clean up your face and you can look forward to what possibilities have. No matter what you're going through, you can reframe it to see what the opportunity is versus thinking about what the challenges are. So I hope that you continue to walk alongside us in this journey of growth with acknowledgement that it's not easy for everyone, and that we need to be open to understanding and supporting each other no matter what the circumstances.
Well, with that,
and we will,
I think,
families.
yes. Yeah. And we're going to have some fun too. You've seen us smile along the way. this is going to take you all over the spectrum of emotions, we hope. Because as I said, feel it first, lead with passion. So, Filsun, any any last technical things that we need to share with the audience about how they can access our conversations going forward, join us in the future, or connect with you and I on social media?
So what I'll do is we'll be posting this on a YouTube channel, and we will be committing to a monthly conversation. So you will have all the links below wherever that is, and you can definitely connect with us on LinkedIn, and then we'll definitely update any links on the YouTube channel of where else you can connect with us. But at this time, we wanted to ensure that we had this conversation in a place that many people can have access to. So we'll definitely be uploading it to our YouTube channel.
And with that, thank you for joining us for Elevate and Innovate, Conversations with Bree and Filsun. We wish you the best. Till next time.